Deicide. Hello and welcome to Deicide. I'm your host, DeamonMachine, and I'm joined by a small crowd of people here today. On my left, I got HiRezBart from hi-rez Studios, obviously. SmackTrickz from Victoria's Secret. PonPon from Curse. ShadowQ from Curse.
Hello.
And Sprayarn from the Copenhagen Wolves. Yay, we have both
Hi.
the NA and EU scene represented today. Yes. It's so great to have you all here today. Lovely weekend of tournaments we had this weekend. It had a little bit of hitches at the beginning. Some interesting notes was that the NA scene had a kind of a small turnout, whereas the EU scene had too many teams that we had to actually not let teams play. So that was a rather unforeseen event. Bart, do you have any thoughts on that immediately?
Onto why you would see more European teams?
Yeah. Well, I mean, other than the fact that it's the bigger scene in general.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one, very clear thing is that there's more interest in general in MOBAs in Europe, specifically Scandinavia. And I would imagine if you took a survey of the teams, many of them would be, in fact, from that region, from the Nordic region. Germany, France, of course, quite popular as well as UK. But beyond that, I think that there is the perception that you can knock off the top European teams, whereas I think in the US scene, people feel like there's a much bigger gap between Root and Curse and the rest of the field than they do. Seeing teams, namely, Victoria's Secret coming up recently, and, Copenhagen Wolves and SK trading games more often than you see Root and Curse trading games. Curse at one point just seemed so dominant, and now, of course, with the kind of the shakeups you have, Root seeming so dominant right now, and it seems to go back and forth between those two teams versus the European team. I think that teams feel like they have a better chance of getting deeper in this tournament versus the NA one. That would be my guess, at least.
Yeah, that would be my opinion as well. It's just they feel like they have a better chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ShadowQ and PonPon, what do you guys think of, the small amount of teams? And somebody is getting a small echo. It seems like it's ShadowQ. It's coming from a headphone.
Let me try to fix that.
It's all right. So I guess PonPon, what do you think of the fact that there was there's 5 teams that showed up Saturday, and then we let Victorious in because it was like, well, we're gonna have 5, or we should let some of the European teams in.
I'm not really sure what to think of that. I knew for a while that the EU scene always had a much larger group playing. I think it's just really like with how unstable the NA scene is. A lot of the teams haven't been able to get scrims. I know last night we were supposed to practice, like Curse was supposed to practice, and we couldn't find anyone to scrim. So.
Interesting. Well, that's disappointing, but we'll move on from that, of course.
Well, it's interesting because also when you go back to the we must split the scene kind of conversation, the general consensus in the European scene was like there's no teams to scrim, there's no one playing, so it's funny kind of the perception versus the realities.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of the European teams maybe had that same fear of, well, why are we going to bother playing because we're going to have to play Curse and Root on NA servers, so
right.
Why even try then? So now that it's like, yes, we can play home, I'm playing. So it's great. So, on our topics for today, let me bring them up. Thought I had them up, but I'll have them up right now. We, of course, had where did it take me to this? Oh, clicked on it. There we go. So basically I have the lovely tournament winner video. Are you ready? Tournament winners video. Oh, there it is. Over on the NA side, we had Root come in first. Curse Gaming came in second with Snipe in third. Over on the EU side, SK Gaming, in kind of an upset. I mean, it was like shocking that, this team who hasn't really been in the scene much lately, they seem to be kind of like hiding. They haven't been too like in your face, let's go scrim, let's go practice, do all this stuff. They come out and come on top with a great Afro mid, I might add. Victoria's Secret coming in second, which played an amazing best of 3 games in the finals there. That was just like the most stressful games ever. And then BLGEU rounding it up in third there. So that was the events of this weekend's 2 tournaments. That's, the amazing time there. Hold on, let me get back. So, man, I want to see some international finals soon, but that'll be in the future.
Someday.
So what do you guys think of Curse coming out in second? Curse came out in second. So were you guys... Did you have trouble? I mean, I know you guys got 2-0'd in the finals, right? You went down 2 games.
Yeah, we did.
Because PonPon, you weren't playing this weekend, were you?
Finals week / just want to take a small break.
Okay, so that was been one of the questions we wanted to ask. Where have you been? There was a
Yeah,
lot of,
it's
like...
been finals week at
Okay.
My university.
Okay, fair enough. Well, cool. So you're not leaving Curse.
No.
Good. That's good to know. ShadowQ, how was it performing without PonPon? Who did you guys have as a sub?
Well, we actually like when Zap left, everyone followed, and we kind of had to completely redo the roster. Mm-hmm. Last weekend we played with me and Zero left, Mace to the face, my brother mid, and KO was with Narian on right lane.
How did Narian do in support?
He wasn't as familiar with the support as he was with the carry role, so given the short amount of time we had to practice, I'm not sure, that it was the best, but he did well with the amount of time that he had and how much we practiced and everything.
Yeah, I know talking with him, he's just like, oh, they want me to play support. I'm so terrible at it. Bart, do you have any...
yeah, speaking of the best, I mean, we saw him play Apollo in the side lane carry role, which was actually pretty effective, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Best did have to sub in, too, because KO's whole block lost power. So...
yeah, that was...
Subbing for subs.
So... I have a question. Just Pon, were you part of the picking and banning phase for this game?
No.
Games? You were completely not involved.
Yeah, I was completely not involved. I only got to see like 1 and 2 of the games anyway.
Yeah, I was just curious if you were still like just in the back, like
no.
So back. Do you do normally the picking and banning for your team?
Normally that's a team effort.
Got it.
Who's normally the shot caller on Curse? Not CRS, but. Like,
ShadowQ has been leading for this week, so he'd have to answer that.
Yeah, it's been me this week. Before that, it was obviously Zapman. For a little bit there, it was Pon, and then I stepped up after we got our roster hold completely changed.
Okay, cool. So you're like interim captain for the moment.
Yeah.
Cool. Well then, I want to move over to SmackTrickz over there on Victorious. What was your opinion of this weekend's events? I mean, you guys were playing a man down because one of your guys wasn't able to make it. Oh, that was another thing.
We actually had
two
people missing.
Two?
Yeah, but like we went into it with hope. Like we're just like, let's just play. At least we'll get practice out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up beating out Copenhagen Wolves, where we were like, all right, we'll probably make it into 3rd or 4th spot, which is decent. But I have to say, I was really surprised with how our right lane actually turned out to play that game. Shout out to Zim for that Freya play. That was really key to our win against Copenhagen Wolves. And we found ourselves unexpectedly in the final. But we were still confident, and first game showed it. Second game was fairly close. In my opinion, I probably threw that game by getting caught out. But yeah, then the third game... right lane had an unfortunate trade, in the first minute, and that just completely threw their lane. But yeah, for them it was also a learning experience, so we're quite happy.
Yeah, it was an amazing series. Very fun to watch. Sprayarn, I know it was tough to get you guys back to play that 3rd place match because you guys are quite demoralized after getting knocked down into the 3rd, 4th place match. How did you guys feel about your performance in general, I guess?
To be completely honest, complete garbage. He played absolutely horrible. I don't want to take anything away from Nevix, but we played bad.
Any particular keys, moments that you could think of that were like, oh, this was just terrible? I mean, I know there was several times when we were watching it, it seemed like there was sloppy movements or things like that. You guys getting caught out and
it was
picked off one by one.
Yeah, there was so many small stuff that just kept happening over and over again. And then we made a call for a Fire Giant, and that may have been the worst call ever, because it basically cut us the whole game. So yeah, that's basically that.
And so then you guys went down to BLGEU, which was a pretty close game, though, wasn't it?
No, that was the the second worst game I've ever played in my life. It was basically like he came into the match just feeling like just play the game out and just do as So I played Artemis Mid,
Yeah.
and it actually worked pretty good because I got actually a level 5 kill. Unfortunately, my silence got shit stomped. So,
yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys have some very odd picks, because there were people in the chat were like, what are these troll picks for this game? I mean, you guys weren't going in with the trolling intention, you were just wanting to try out something new and have some fun, I guess? Or try and have some fun?
We used played we just picked the first god. We just played, I don't know, like we just picked something.
There was no strategy in the picking, it was just pick gods and go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there was this, against the Vix, we had Odin on Zhangbe, which was also very weird because he plays normally ancient ADs, and that's what we feel like he should be playing at all times. But he felt like he wanted to play Odin, and it just didn't do that well, to be honest. So, yeah, that's that.
Bart, do you have anything you want to say? You look like you're contemplating hard.
No, just thinking, just listening. Nothing really to add to that. Just why put Youngbae on not a range carry?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask the EU guys was, what was the start time like? Was it too early? Because I heard like SK had to play with Droidin instead of, I think it was SmackTrickz, or not SmackTrickz, but Smek, because he had work. So
no, they played with him instead of GetFit.
GetFit, that's it. Not Smek. Smek was there.
Well, actually, instead of Gortak.
Okay, yeah. Never mind then.
Is GetFit still on SK? I wish Sai was here because we could answer that.
Yeah, I think he's subbing now though, since he was away for a good month or so.
Okay.
I think he was in hospital. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on this. But yeah, so he's subbing for now until he gets back on this game.
Yeah, and it was Dradow, not Droidin. Droidin, somebody else I know. But yeah, Dradow was subbing in for them. He did a really good job too, which was to their credit. But what do you guys think of the time that you play? Is that 3 p.m. CET? Is that too early? I mean, because you guys are used to playing, like in My Revenge, which usually ran on Sundays, starting at 6, I think, 5 or 6 your time. Is that like something we need to consider, maybe bumping back the time a little bit? Because I know that like Sayo really would like to move the time back so that way people can be out of work. And what do you guys think of that? Do you like the early start time, or do you want it to be a little bit later between you two?
We don't actually have a problem with it, especially since it lasted till what?
Yeah.
12-ish, for us, so it went from 3 till 12. And that's still quite a long. If you push that back 3 hours, we're all of a sudden playing till 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do that on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the general reasoning behind it was, basically it's starting even later than I would probably like to start it, honestly. But we have to accommodate basically American viewers at this point. Mm-hmm. Similar to why the American tournament starts at noon Eastern instead of 2 or 3, which I'm sure many of the players would enjoy getting to sleep in. But for right now, peak viewership is the most important. We will do replay broadcasts rather, but at this point it's not really that viable, just in terms of timing. Logistically, I can explain it to you, but it's a little weird. Yeah, and in general, if you're working on a Sunday, you're not working a normal, regularly scheduled job, right?
Yeah.
You're doing retail or service industry or something like that, where you have a shifting schedule versus the vast majority of players are going to be either in university or secondary school and have something to do on Monday. So I think it's better to. Holy shit!
Someone just called me. My ringtone went crazy.
So I think it's better to accommodate, the in this case, the 85-90% of players that are going to need to be up at 10 o'clock on Monday at the earliest, or the latest, I'm sorry, and try to get things done before midnight. Because I know that's got to be so frustrating playing from EU, right? In these tournaments that we're starting at, noon Eastern, and then, if you go deep, all of a sudden you're playing on a US server at 2:30 in the morning, and, it's not that fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, like the splitting of the scene is like the best thing that happened to Smite in recent months, I would say.
Cool. Do you like the fact that you don't have to worry about facing root and curse that much, or is it just strictly
No.
for the fact that you just want to play on your server all the time?
No, like it's server based because, I mean, we were playing with 220 ping on NA server in the Conquest Challenge games, and like if I get a server in like in ranked, for example, that's NA, I sit on 160. So there's no way for us to actually decently prepare for 220 ping.
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, so we just prefer our home server. Like, I can't wait for LANs. Like, any LANs upcoming, I would love to actually see, like, where the EU versus NA scene stands on.
Yes, that would be fun to get an international LAN tournament going. Oh, that would be the day.
That would be pretty cool.
That will be pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think those are on the horizon in the immediate future right now,
Probably not.
but hopefully soon. Maybe we can we'll come up with some sort of weird agreement with hi-rez where we'll just save all of the tournament winnings and just use that to fly everybody out. Be like, we'll play in these next few tournaments for free just so you can fly us around. So yeah, on to our next topic, which is basically the upsets in Quebec. We kind of talked about that. So I want your guys' opinion on Fenrir. Fenrir a week later. Does he still need a massive nerf? I guess we'll start with SmackTrickz.
Well, personally, I've seen Fenrirs do really well and really bad. It all depends on if they get killed first or if they get the first kill, I feel. Like, it's like he's more snowball like needed than Kali, in my opinion. If he gets a rough early game, he's a little puppy. But if he gets fed, it's probably the most terrifying thing you have running around on your map.
Cool. PonPon, what do you think? Have you been able to play him much this week?
Yeah, I have actually, just from being able to stream.
Yeah.
I still think he's really pub stompy. I still don't like his 3 by design. But I think more people are learning to fight him, which makes him not nearly as bad. I would still like to see a nerf to his 3 in some way, but he's in a much better place than he was a week ago, just as people have learned to fight him.
Yeah. Cool. ShadowQ, what do you think?
I think he's really, really strong right now. His 3 scales in a way that doesn't exactly make sense. His ulti might be too strong, but it's really hard to tell with just how much damage he puts out right now. And he has a lot of mobility with his jump being half cooldown if he hits, and his 3 being able to go through walls. I think he's just really, really strong right now.
Sprayarn?
Fenrir. Yes. Yes. He deals quite the damage. I think that he still needs a slight nerf, but he's definitely not as OP as he was 1 week ago, where everyone used to complain about him. Because I feel like now people have actually learned how to play against him a bit, but he's still slightly overpowered.
Yeah, the one thing I think needs to change in some fashion is the fact that his 3 will follow you anywhere. Like, if you land that first one, you can, as Neath, you can backflip and he will hit you in the air, or whatnot.
Will he actually hit you in the air?
I can't remember if he does damage in the air, or it's like his 3 queues up and to hit you twice as soon as you land.
Wow, that is...
But
Okay.
he will follow you.
I wasn't actually aware. I thought it only followed you with a dash. Because I've leaped away with him with Anwar, I believe.
Yeah.
I saw
Anwar will
leap
destroy.
cancels.
Yeah, it's a question of if you can go... Isn't it, if you can go over walls, like actual structure wall, not just your mirror walls, then it will disjoint it. But if you don't have a leap that will take you over a structure that's not deployable, then he will follow you. So like,
yes, well, if it goes to world geometry.
Yeah, world geometry is a good.
All right.
Not necessarily player deployables, because I believe Neath can backflip Odin rings.
Yes, she can backflip Odin ring.
But she cannot backflip
A
the
wall.
Amir wall or a world wall.
I'm pretty sure she can backflip in a mirror wall.
Yeah, she can backflip a
Can
mirror
she?
wall.
The mirror wall? I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was just that I never actually got it deployed in time, or in general, yeah, it's a technical reason why. It has to do with something called tweening. which is when the basically the server and the engine is, you're just saying something goes from point A to point B, make it happen. And then it procedurally generates the path. If that is the case, which is when you use a leap that goes through walls, then it will not follow you. Because technically you're invulnerable during that period.
So, Bart, do you think they need to do something about his 3 and the fact that, like, say it follows Neath through the air or Agni when he dashes, and that you think that if you dash, you should be able to get away from it?
Fuck Neath. That's my professional opinion. I hate that god. Now, no, I don't think that's the problem. I think
Don't nerf my Neath.
I think the problem is purely around the fact that the number 3 is dealing your in-hand damage with a chance to proc. I think that if and when it gets changed to abilities, an ability-based damage with higher scaling, he'll be in a better spot. The thing about Fenrir is, like, there's certain things that are extremely effective against him. For instance, Sobek is, like, crazy good against him. The number 1 will actually flick him out of the number 3 and interrupt it. There's also a lot of situations in which you can interrupt Fenrir during his number 3 before it activates, and it'll take the cooldown. Also, if you are able to cripple him, he's unable to put out damage very effectively at all. Because the number 3, being that it is a movement-based mechanic, does stop, the cripple stops the ability to activate it altogether. So
does it stop it? Like if it's being casted?
No. If you're already hitting, it will not. But if you let's say get him in a Poseidon Whirlpool, he can't use his number 3 at all, which means his damage potential is actually really not that high outside of auto attacks. And in general because of the way you build him. Now, what my anticipation would be that right, and as Spray saying in chat there, Apollo Mesmerize also extremely effective against Fenrir. I would anticipate that you'll see his number 3 will be dealing flat damage, not basically meaning it'll be dealing orange numbers, not white numbers, meaning that it won't be able to proc items or crit or anything like that, and that you'll see the scaling increase. That would be my guess.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure, but it'll probably be something like, it deals 50 damage a hit at level 1 plus, 45% scaling or something like that, And then scaling up as you rank it. The issue right now, in my opinion, is that by maxing the number 2, you get just a boost to your number 3 as well. You only have to really rank up one skill to get maximum effectiveness. I think you would want to change that so that you have to rank up the number 3 to make it deal more damage, so you can't just max out your steroid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, well, Bart, do we need to go ahead and close this out as it is 2:40?
Yeah, I need to get going. We need to chat quickly here.
Yes. So this is a slightly abridged version of Deicide, where we had kind of ran over everything as fast as we could. I'd like to get you guys back another week, like next week maybe, to discuss the results again next week. So hopefully we can work out something like that. Thank you all so very much for joining us. PonPon, ShadowQ, Sprayarn, SmackTrickz. Thank you all for joining us. You guys are great. Please do post your social media and stuff in the chat because we have to run like right now. So everybody can follow you. Bart, do you have anything you want to say closing out?
No. I think that in general, we have a patch scheduled for sometime this week. I'm not sure really the details on that yet, but that's pretty much the only announcement that I have to make. And of course, be sure to follow all of the players. And watch out for the tournaments this weekend as well. I guess we should talk that basically the reason we're having to cut this short is that we're going to go and smoke test the esports website supporting 32-team bracket for Europe. So that's what we're going to take a look at now, and to be perfectly clear about exactly why we have to cut the show short. So hopefully that works out, and we can accommodate
more teams.
Up to 32 European teams this weekend. And American teams, if they do come out in the NA scene that deep, of course, we would love to have them. But
yes,
my guess is that it'll be EU.
Great. All right, well, thanks, everyone, so very much for joining us. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Good day.
Deicide.